The United National Congress intends to bring to members of the public is cutting-edge technology, smart, intelligent technology. One of the technologies brought by different countries in the fight against crime is, in fact, number plate recognition. Number plate recognition, you can observe the location and the identification of number plates on vehicles. What we have done also to include it is that we can look to see which one of those vehicles are not registered with the number plate attached. And so we can now network with all other agencies to put out a bulletin to treat with that particular vehicle by the use of this type of technology. Let me also introduce you to the facial recognition technology. This system must be used in Trinidad and Tobago in the fight against crime. What we do, the persons involved, we check on a criminal database system where we are able to identify and track those individuals in real time. These are just two of the many initiatives that the United National Congress intend to implement in the fight against crime. Not just in the Tunapuna area, but the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. So you...
Alright, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone and rule well. Salutation to Yaki, I'm preaching the truth to the four corners of the earth in sincerity. This is your brother Yaka. I'll come to you with another lesson. Lord's will and be edifying to your spirit. Right, and we can see that the technology that they come into the country with is something dangerous, is against you and it's not for you. Right? As you can see, you know that they're not really talking about the things and what the infrastructure and such, you know. What they're really going into here is the RFID microchip, which we already know is the mark of the beast. Right? Another form of centralizing, another form of getting closer, another step to the mark of the beast. Right? Where it spoke about in second adjust. Let me see if I get that. Right, the second adjust. I believe it's 15 and 17. And it reads, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. But how you think they're going to do these things? They're going to block off. They're going to have stops. They're going to have their cameras on a all-out watch. But not only that, you know, as they show you clearly, they're going to use it to identify it. Right? And we know that it already have certain monitors or certain lights that they're changing over that could detect whether or not you take the mark. You understand? Cameras identifying your body heat, telling you if you take the mark or not. This all heading straight into shit streak for Trinidad and Tobago, and really extension to the world. Right? The place heading into a serious robot AI advanced technology settings, right, that nobody wasn't ready for. It was gradually sending you into it, but nobody not ready for it. You see, when a man is like a mad scientist making a potion, right, and when he makes this potion, he takes his time and perfection and he makes his potion and he's ready, right? He so has done a lot of test, trial and fail. But you see this mark, right? When you do something half cooked, or you do something not well planned, or you do something that you can't control, what's gonna be the outcome? We're gonna be disaster, devastation, and that's what's gonna happen. He have no control over that mark, so it's disaster, devastation. That's what's gonna be taking place. You understand? Let me just go into the video and play a little bit so we can.
Required the United National Congress. What is required? The United National Congress intends to bring to members of the public is cutting-edge technology, smart, intelligent technology. One of the technologies brought by different countries in the fight against crime is, in fact, number plate recognition.
Right, so they want to identify every single body by their cars, know if it registered, whatever the case may be. All this is oppression. Because some certain people, you know, Jakes not paying certain stuff on time, it makes them targets on the road. And what they doing here is you see the rich not gonna be affected, but the poor man gonna be affected, the middle class man gonna be affected. Basically Jake gonna be affected. And that's why we say this heading into Jacob trouble. Right? And when these things come up on Jacob trouble, where they can't hide, they can't, some people driving cars that not registered for years, I should say. Right? And with they doing this now, you understand that it's because they haven't been caught by the grace of Yahweh Shai. You understand? But when they get caught with doing such actions, what is the outcome? They charging you, they giving you a ticket. You understand? They oppressing you basically. But what they coming into is a centralized system when nobody's going to be able to escape. The scripture say, they say, come and let us oppress the poor and righteous man. They say within themselves, let us oppress the ancient grey heads. Let us not spare the widow. They don't care about anybody. They come in for everybody. And initially, is to get order out of chaos as well too. You understand? So they're going to make chaos and try to pull the order. But are we going at it a little bit?
Plate recognition. You can observe the location and the identification of number plates on vehicles. What we have done also to include it is that we can look to see which one of those vehicles are not registered with the number plate attached. And so we can now network with all other agencies to put out a bulletin to treat with that particular vehicle by the use of them.
And when you go through the comments, the people not impressed. You understand? Like they brought something new. They didn't bring anything new. This has been around for a while. Even there's even more advanced technology than this. So what they're showing is nothing new. This is just more oppression on the people. You understand? And we can clearly see it, and we can point it out. But what we understand as they headed into is Jacob's trouble. Now we're going to the scripture because I don't want to stray, but we flew at night win, as the scripture say. You understand? Now understanding all this, you understand that the wickedness of Esau is on another level, where he caused what the scripture said. Let me see if I get that right. The book of Micah chapter 2 and verse 1, and it reads, behold, Micah 2 and 1. Let's now get man. Right. Why this going on verse? Yeah, little technical difficulties. This is the book of Micah chapter 2 and verse 1, and it reads, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. Right? And that is true. You saw them, they do it because it's in the power of their hands, so that they could do it. They decide when they want to do it. You understand? Scripture say they sleep not unless they cause some to fall. Right? So they constantly wicked, looking for wicked things to do unto our people. Right? Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, actually brought it out beautifully, where you see much emphasis was on the Israelites. Right? And it's a long time I bring out the precepts, so I believe I should go into it. Wisdom of Solomon 2. Start from 1. It says, for the ungodly set reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. Right? Basically what they're saying is they're going to die short lives, and it's like we never been after a few years, right? It says, for the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning. For it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. So all this, they was just going into that the life short, and when we die, nobody's gonna remember us, and it's gonna pass like nothing, right? So here what it says: come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. And what are they talking about? They're talking about us. It says, let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. Basically, let us get rich. Let us go into everybody's country, invade their land, take their oil. Let us do wickedly as it is in the power of our hands to do so. Right? It says, let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness, greediness. They wanting more and more and more. It says, let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion, and our lot is this. And they leave their name everywhere. The statues, they make sure to let you know about the Edomites who conquered here and conquered there. Right? Up to this day, you could still talk about Alexander the Great and Columbus, Christopher Columbus. They love to talk about the men who did things, right? Wicked men, but they wouldn't tell you about Yahweh Shemi Shai, right? I reach that verse 10, the point. It says, let us oppress the poor righteous man, let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged. The poor righteous man, that's who you want to oppress? Really? Jacob Shovel. It says, let us not spare the widow, poor old woman, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged, nor old papi or granny. They don't care. You understand? So when they bring forth these sort of systems, it's to just oppress Jake more and more. Initially, we know taking it into the RFID, right? Because the United National Congress, as a city party, they were the ones that actually said they were rooting, and they actually said that they would follow up on the RFID. And that was way before they came into power. Well, they were selected, right? And I would just read that. I would just end it off here in Wisdom of Solomon, right? I think the scriptures say against this family. Let me see if I get it. Micah 2 and 3. It says, therefore, let me see. I'll read from 1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covered fields and take them by violence. You see what they cover? What they do? They take them by violence. And houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. That is what they did. They did that to the the Native Americans. When they took America and then you name it after themselves. Right? They did that to them, and they gave them smallpox. They did a lot of atrocious things in youth. But a man and his heritage. Because men had heritage, but when you take them into slavery and you carry them all over the world and force them to forget, and you beat them to live, they talk your language, that is when you're oppressing their heritage, because you're no longer teaching them about what they're supposed to learn. But look at Israel today. Look at Jakes today. They're in the world blinded, not knowing the times we're in, neither their heritage. You understand? That's why one of this captivity is known as one of the worst. Because all through all the other captivities, we knew we were Israelites. In this captivity, we don't know who the fuck we is. We think we're African Americans. We think we mix with all kind of sorts of different things. A man will say that he's half Chinese, 1% European, he's 2%, husky, bullshit. When really and truly, you are what your father are. You are from one nation. The seed, you can't take an apple and carry it in another country and get a pear. You can't take a plum seed and carry it anywhere and get an apple. You understand? The plum seed is going to go and get a plum. Simple. Right? So you are what you are. So going back into this, the oppressed man's heritage, it was 3. Therefore thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil from which ye shall not remove your necks. Meaning that they're not going to be able to do anything about it. neither shall he go haughtily, for this time is evil. This time is evil. The Lord said it is righteous to recompense tribulation on them that trouble thee. Right? And they trouble us years. They further the affliction. Right? Where we supposed to be out of slavery right now. They furthered it. They did a lot of different things unto us. Right? And the Lord said that I was so displeased at the heathen. Let me get that. Just bear with me here. Zechariah 4. Let me see. Let me try one. Right, this is Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 15, and it reads, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. Yeah, they chilled. They relaxing. While they done fucked with Esau, with Jacob already, the Lord's children. Right? And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased. The Lord was just a little displeased. So he whooped we ass, basically. When you deal, that's how you deal with kids. You whoop the ass. Slavery, all the atrocious things happened to us. The Lord was displeased. So he gave us into the hands of the heathens, right? But here what it says. I'll read it over. I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. They continued it. You understand? They all agree. Psalms 83, when you read it, it says they all agree to one consent to fuck with us. Right? Verse 16. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. That's how we got mercies. My house shall be built in it, saith the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Right? That is the Lord returning and teaching us back this word. When you say measure the temple, it really meant to teach. Right? So we've been taught, we wake up, we understand already, and we know. So now we know the judgment and we know what was set forth. Right? Because you thought that you're gonna do all this shit and get away scotch free. Ain't no way. The scripture say the inward thought is that the houses would continue forever. Meaning that is what they thinking in your head. But in reality, that shit not going unanswered. You know? It's like it's on a message. But the Lord is a man slow to anger. The Lord is Salakia. The Lord is a power. Slow to anger. But always about judgment. Scripture say that every morning do it, he executes his judgment. Every morning his judgment go out forth. He created angels for slaying, spirits for vengeance. Think about it. You really think Esau gonna go unpunished? Let me get that precept. Let's look at Jeremiah chapter 49 and verse 12. For thus saith the Lord power, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have a surely drunken. Israel, we have a surely drunken. That's right, the Jakes, Israel. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished, meaning that thou need to go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. Right? And another precept will back up this would say they would drink, spew, fall, and rise no more. You understand? That's how drunk they're gonna be after they drink that cup. It's slavery, you know. And we went through all the hell of that cup. Now they that's going through it. Right? Now it's their time to go through it. Right? And it's a lovely thing that these puppets, who so-called prime ministers and so-called black people, who they placing as ministers and all this stuff, puppets, they gladly take any bag and running in head first, not understanding that the judgment that is going to rain down on your head for listening to what the so-called white man said to do and following his bidding is going to be great, because it's coming from Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It's not just anything coming. It's the Lord coming with his full blunt. Right? I don't really mean to make this video long, but Lord will in this video edifying. True spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Kakodash. So double honor to the elders and apostles of great Millstone and rule well. Salutation to the Aki and preaching the truth to the four corners of the earth in sincerity. Shalom.